Casey Hunt, you sat down with House Speaker Paul Ryan and asked him about Republicans who no longer recognize their party under President Trump, as well as the president's feuds with various members of his own party. Take a look.
Since the president was elected, you have said you make it known to him you don't want him to tweet, but you've also, you've defended his actions by saying he's new at this, he'll get used to it. You didn't go after him by name after Charlottesville. But during the campaign, you said in the wake of the Access Hollywood tape that was released that you would never defend Donald Trump, not now and in the future. And I've heard from some critics of you who they are Republicans and they don't necessarily recognize the Republican Party under Trump, and they're disappointed in you.
Well, that's fine. They can be that however they want. I think the best thing I can do as Speaker of the House is help us pass an agenda that improves people's lives. We have an agenda that we all agree on. We have unified government. I think it's really important to make this unified government work. Imagine if we decided just to have some internal food fight and get nothing done for the country. How does that help people get a job? How does that help people get more take-home pay? How does that help relieve the insecurity that people have in this country who are living paycheck to paycheck? It doesn't.
The president has regularly engaged in disputes with various members, Bob Corker, the most recent Ben Sasse, over the First Amendment. Is that helpful to your agenda?
It's what he does. We've kind of learned to live with it. He and I have had, well, not on this particular issue, but we've had our engagements in the past too. I don't think what I'm trying to get our members to do is just focus on doing our jobs. We're here elected to represent our constituents, to advance our principles, pass solutions. That's what we're focused on. And I try to get members just not to get distracted by these things.
Casey, what was your takeaway from the interview with Paul?
I think that he is a little bit in a no man's land trying to keep the train on the rails, but potentially risking. He is somebody who has had very strong, he was kind of the golden boy hero of the Republican establishment, maybe not ready to run for president in 2016, but certainly somebody that they've looked to for the future. But the way that he has been responding to the president, he clearly was burned by what happened during the campaign. He was out front criticizing him and ended up drawing back from that and is now one of the most careful in approaching what the president says. But at the same time, the people who are hardcore Trump supporters don't necessarily view him as an ally either. And I think sort of Paul Ryan's story in the Capitol these days is trying to keep his head down and keep that ship afloat. I think that there is an increasing sense on the Hill that they don't know where the president, they don't really know where it ends. And there's a feeling that it could end badly. And Ryan is really caught in that vice.
So, Casey, in addition to the interview, you see him nearly every day that you're up on Capitol Hill. What's your sense of Paul Ryan, the politician? Do you think he actually likes the politics of it, the elbow throwing, the backslapping, the pulling people together politically through your personality? Do you think he likes that, enjoys it?
He insists that he doesn't, that he cares about policy. I do think more than most politicians, he is really animated by policy, that's true. But that doesn't mean that he's bad at politics or ignores it, even though, in our interview, he went so far as to say, I don't pay attention to that stuff. But he's raised more money for the party by some metrics than John Boehner was. John Boehner was a prolific fundraiser. He's been raising millions. He is popular internally. He's well liked. He's the kind of politician that he could live 3 doors down from you on your suburban street, and you're really excited that this guy that who watches football with you every Sunday is succeeding and doing really well. That's kind of his, brand of nice guy politics. I'm interested to see if that approach can work in the Trump era. The country is so divided, and he is not somebody who relishes jumping into those divisions, and that might not play with the base.
I don't think so. I mean, it doesn't work because Paul is and has always been motivated by policy, and he just wants to keep his head down, and he wants to just get bills
we need
passed.
People who are going to step up.
And the problem is that that's not the time that we find ourselves in now, because you can't keep your head down when there is a storm swirling around you 24 hours a day. And it's unfortunate for Paul Ryan, but you know what? Talking points and policy papers are not what is required. in 2017. Philip Rucker.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.